Lovely to see you, Elizabeth. I'll give you a sec to take a sip there.
Are we on? Was this a video interview? Can I not be sipping? I don't mind. People can know I drink coffee. And
Perfectly
I'm giving you an
okay.
exclusive.
How do you feel about the timing of the show coming out when it is?
We're honestly following in Margaret Atwood's footsteps. That woman was, as you know, as a Canadian, incredibly ahead of her time in 1985, and at the same time, exactly in her time. She was so aware of what was happening around her and what had happened in the past. She has said famously that there's nothing in that book that hasn't happened, that hadn't happened at that time somewhere in the world. She's also talked about the cyclical nature of history. I remember when we were talking in 2017 when we were first promoting the show, and I had the privilege of doing some interviews with her. And she would talk about the cyclical nature of history a lot. And I think that is coming from somebody very wise. I point to that because I do feel like that is very relevant to your question, that it was relevant in 85. It was relevant 10 years after that. And it's relevant in the 40th anniversary of that book this year. And of course, there are specific issues that, yes, perhaps it is more relevant now in this moment. Absolutely. You can't ignore that. But I also think that it is something that we have experienced the whole run of the show. Every single season, there has been something that someone has said, like yourself, a journalist has said, what about this? What about that that's going on right now? Every single season.
Did it strike you at all as sort of an interesting contrast that while all this stuff was going on in the US, you were making the show in Toronto and Canada hasn't had quite the same things going on with women's reproductive rights?
It's difficult because we have so many Americans in our cast. So it never, so you know what I mean? So it felt very much like we had a kind of big American presence. I will say that there definitely were times when there was a lot of drama happening in the States that it was super nice to be in Canada. I'm not gonna lie. And I've spent a significant portion of the last 9 years of my life in Canada. I've spent more time in Canada than in America, I think, in the last 9 years. All I can say is I really enjoyed my time in Canada.
Well, that's good. We were glad to have
Thank
you.
you.
Um,